Hello everyone, welcome to the last episode of our series, Video Production for Solo Entrepreneurs. And I hope you learned a lot from the past 7 episodes, which aims to help you, the small entrepreneur, create your own video content. So video content production is not necessarily that difficult with all the available materials to you right now. Softwares, affordable cameras, you can even your smartphones. In this series, we discuss about using your smartphones. And I hope moving forward that is enough to really inspire you to start creating your own video content. My name is Robert. I'm a content creator and my passion is to help you, the small entrepreneur, become your own content creator. Today, as we wrap up our series, I'm just gonna go to the most important thing in video production, which is exporting your video. Because no matter how good your video is, no matter how fancy your visuals, your shots, even your sound, and even the content of your video, if you're not able to export it properly, your video is not really going anywhere. So as I've mentioned, there are a lot of cameras or devices available to you right now. Most of them are really affordable, but there are different ways of exporting this video. And as we have discussed in the past 7 episodes, the very basic tools that you have and you can use in Premiere Pro is really enough for you to upload that first video episode of your brand. Even if you're a small personal brand or even if you're a small team, it's just a matter of writing stuff and putting it all together and filming yourself and jumping into Premiere Pro. By the way, I will be putting together a lesson on Filmora, because a lot of my friends are using Filmora because according to them, Premiere Pro is a bit too pricey for them. But anyway, we're gonna wrap up today's episode and we're gonna head straight to my computer to demonstrate how to properly export your video like a pro, even if you're just a beginner. Okay, we're still working on our demo sequence on Premiere Pro, and I have a few things to discuss for you to be able to export like a pro even though you're a beginner in Premiere Pro. So first, I want you to look at your timeline sequence. So if you're not yet familiar, I have an episode on this series that's called the Premiere Pro Workspace. You can always go back there. It's a few minutes of introductory video to familiarize yourself on what these panels are and what are these functions and how you can use this. Okay, so first, in exporting your video, you have to check your timeline sequence. Okay, first and foremost, for someone like me, I always use an HD recorder. So when you look at my sequence, I have 2 audio layers here. For most of you, you might just be using plug into camera microphone or lav mic, so you won't have this. But in case you have more than one audio clip on your sequence, so make sure you enable the sequence that you need to export. So in this case, the blue clip here, this is the audio coming from my camera, but I want to export this one, the green one, which is my HD recorder, and of course my music intro or my music bed. So for the fun part, let me just zoom in here for a bit, and you would need to go to File, Export in Media, or Control M. Okay, after that, you would be presented with this box that contains the export settings. So just to zoom in here a bit so that it's clearer on your end, and I'm just gonna drag this here. Okay, so what we see here is, of course, the output preview. Our clip is I think a 16-minute clip, okay, or 16-second clip. Okay, so right here, you have the option to match sequence settings, but the problem with matching the sequence settings is that you might be combining different footages, stock footage and photos. So usually for me, I leave it unchecked. But for best results, you can experiment based on what footage you're using. And for the format, it's usually H.264. If you intend to upload your video on the web, H.264 is the best format for you. So QuickTime is the popular Apple Macintosh video format, and there's a lot of stuff here, a lot of options. If you want to do simple GIF, you can now export GIF from Premiere Pro, which we find really difficult to do back in the days. Okay, so you can also export in a JPEG format, and of course an MP3. So if you don't have any knowledge in using any sound editing software, if you're used to Premiere Pro, you can export your audios here as well. Okay, so going back to my interface here, so there are a lot of presets that you can access if you're using the license of Premiere Pro. So if I'm gonna zoom out here, yes, you will see YouTube presets here, Vimeo, and these VR presets. Of course, now they have the Twitter presets. So what the presets does is that it has the settings predefined for you. So if you know where you're going to be uploading your video, you just have to select it from here. But usually in my case, I would just use the match source high bitrate. Okay, so this output name here, you can actually click this to determine the path that you prefer. So I have a projects folder here, and let's say I want to save it on a new folder and call it demo. So now I have a demo folder on my projects folder somewhere in my documents, and I'm gonna go for the smartphone video demo file name, and I'm gonna save this. So now the summary would show you practically the settings that you currently have. Okay, and apart from that, you can play around with the different settings here. But the most important thing to note is that at the bottom of this dialog box, you would see the file size, the estimated file size. So you would have an idea how big your file is. Okay, so make sure you have export video and export audio check. Yeah, that's important. And it says here that our output is an HD video, which is the same as our source. You would see here, this is our source, our frames per second on our sequence. And the audio settings, you can just practically click here, and 4800 hertz is 48,000 hertz is a good setting for your audio, and of course you want it to be on stereo mode. Okay, so once you get this all done, you can practically export. You can either export it or queue it. But before I go there, let's say you're going to be doing a series of videos and you want to export it in the same settings. Premiere Pro allows you to create a preset out of that. So let's say I modified some of the settings here, and I want instead of hardware encoding, I want to go for software encoding. You would notice that my preset is now called custom. Okay, so if I click this save preset button here, that would allow me to name and save my preset. Why would I want to do that is there are cases where you're going to be filming a series of videos that you want it to be using the same settings when you export it. So it makes sense for you to create a preset for that. I'm going to cancel this because I don't need this right now, and I'm just going to go to my high bitrate preset. Okay, so the first thing that you can do here is, if you hit export, it would go straight to exporting your video. But as I have mentioned a while ago, there's a better way of exporting your video wherein you can queue it and export a number of sequences at the same time and still would allow you to work on Premiere Pro while you're exporting. So you have a button here that's called Q. So when I hit this, okay, so just gonna delete my first Q. So now it gives me access to this Adobe Media Encoder panel. So you can still change the settings here. If you want it, change your mind and want to go for QuickTime instead, you can do it from here. And the preset, you can select here. And of course, if you want to save it in a different location, you can just always click this. Okay, so what Adobe Media Encoder would do for you is you can have a queue of videos here, and when you hit start queue, it's just gonna export it for you. So it depends on how fast your machine is. Right now it's exporting my video, and it gives me an estimate duration of my export. So right now I'm roughly 1 minute away from finishing my export. I'm just gonna stop this. We don't have to wait for this. So I'm just gonna stop this and go back here, and that's it for exporting your videos from Premiere Pro. It's really simple. So if you have time to go back to the previous episodes, that would help you a lot and give you that understanding of the video production process, which is, as I keep mentioning, it's not really that difficult. So I tried to put together a very basic series of lessons for you. So that's it. Thank you for joining me in this journey, and I hope the past 8 episodes have been really helpful to you. And if it did give you value, please subscribe to my channel and share this video to your friends who would benefit from this. And we're looking forward to seeing you on our next video episodes.